I have a problem. For years I've been working in my shop without a formal vise, and I have some really interesting projects coming up, and I will definitely need a vise. So what am I gonna do about it? Well, in order to solve that problem, I'm gonna have to make a Roubo workbench or something. Oh wait, I already did. Let's see how I did it. That's so cool. So as I start the milling on this project, I just want to talk briefly about the inspiration behind this piece and why it took me so long to make my first workbench. I've been woodworking for over 5 years now and haven't had a formal workbench or even vise in my shop, which is kind of crazy looking back. After I saw Pedulla Studio's video on his workbench, I was definitely inspired to finally take the time to tackle my own. Yeah, here's the original first mill. Everything in this stack has been pre-milled for months and has been drying and acclimating, so I should be able to get to a glue up in the next day or two after all the prep is done on each of these boards. So if you're a woodworker or watch any woodworking content, you probably know the video I'm talking about. Nick has an incredible Roubo workbench and he makes incredible videos as well. His entire vise setup on his workbench is basically perfect in my mind. Especially this curved work holding clamp, which is something I want to get into more in the future, so I figured I'd include it in my own bench. Alright, this is where we are at with the hardware. So I got this dovetail feature all attached, as well as the holes for this hardware here. As well, we added a hole mortised through this so we can put this bolt in, but that is just to make sure these are tightened and screwed so when you're applying pressure on this vise, your laminations aren't going to separate over time. Logistically speaking, this is probably one of the more complicated projects I've built. There's just a lot of order of operations for this, especially in the early stages. You have to make sure you're routing in channels for your moccasin vise and do the dovetailed for the curved work holding. All of that has to be done before anything can get glued up. I tend to often just jump into a piece without too much forethought, but this was definitely an exception to my normal way of building things. Alright, so I just cut this mortise out in this end cap, and it turns out that it's about 1/8 of an inch too deep for some reason, so there'd be a little hollow spot when it's bottomed out. This is over in thickness, so what I'm gonna do is plane about 1/8 of an inch off to remove that gap, and then I'll still have plenty of material left for when I cut dovetails, etc. So that's what we're gonna do to fix that issue. So the original plan on this workbench was to have a bunch of walnut accents on the top, and I didn't end up having enough time to go to the lumberyard and get this 12-quarter walnut I would need. So I changed things up a little bit on the fly and redesigned what originally were going to be houndstooth dovetails and whip out this template for this curved dovetail. Since I wasn't using walnut, I didn't think houndstooth dovetails were gonna pop if it was ash on ash. So I decided to opt for a set of 3 dovetails and add this curved feature on the ends of them. Alright, so I just finished shaping and cutting the tails on these end boards. This is our end cap, so now we're gonna go ahead and cut our pins in here. Everything is already put to size, basically. This end cap is maybe a 30-second long or proud on either end. So we're just gonna go ahead and work on start setting up and cutting our pins. Let's do it. So I think my tip to cutting dovetails is using a marking knife. You know, I've never tackled anything like this before, but being able to scribe the lines onto your pin board is really the best way, in my opinion. You can quickly go in with a router, remove most of the waste, and then use your chisels in those knife lines to clean everything up, and you get some nice fitting dovetails the majority of the time. So I'm not even gonna lie, this glue up was probably one of the more stressful glue ups I've done. As I said, there's a bunch of planning involved, and there was a lot of order of operations to this glue up as well. You know, you had to make sure that the side dovetails were pulled on and the end caps were put on securely, make sure everything was clamped securely, and yeah, there was just a lot to it. But after it all was said and done, everything came together well, and I was glad to be done with it. So after a little bit of cleanup with the sander, I'm really able to see how these dovetails turned out, and I am super happy with this, especially it being my first time. They turned out super clean, and yeah, they really are a cool feature to the bench. Now for the rest of the build, I did kind of feel like I was winging it. I had that 3D model I had made before, but I kind of just went with the flow, and if there was a slight change that I felt needed to happen, I just kind of went with it in the moment, and it's kind of how I like to run in the shop a lot of the times, and just let my creativity flow in that way. But these legs came out super cool. They did come out similar to the model that I already had in my head and on the 3D design software, but yeah, I was super happy with them. And this was my first time using my vacuum bag, and man, I can't wait to see what I can do with that in the future. We're at the point in the video, if you are enjoying it, please like and subscribe. We're still a small channel over here, so every little bit of engagement helps, and I greatly appreciate it. I have a lot planned for the future, and I have my first kit on the way, so I've got a really cool and unique crib design that I'm looking forward to building and filming. And hopefully you guys will stick around and watch that as well. So subscribe, turn notifications on, and I thank you for your support. that's why you put the blanket down. All right, so we have the top flipped over and the base glued up. Now I'm just gonna work on aligning this base where I want it to be on the top, mark out the tenons, and I'll cut out the mortises so we can sit flush. It's looking pretty good. So since I got a vacuum bag for this project, I figured I would do a stave core for the leg vise. Just another excuse for me to use the vacuum bag and test it out and see its capabilities. The stave core is basically some staves glued together and then a veneer on the top and bottom to stabilize those, and then you can shape that the way you want it and veneer your figured wood on top of that. You'll see how it comes out. And so this is the veneer I chose. I had this laying around in the shop actually, and I decided to do the sapwood down the center, and I thought it looked pretty cool. But honestly, I'm not too sure what this wood is, so if you have any ideas, throw it in the comments for me and maybe we can figure out what it is. Again, the beauty of a vacuum press. These seams are perfect. This would have taken tons of clamps, cauls, everything. And it's just as simple as throwing it in that bag and leaving it for a couple hours. Awesome. Alright, I'm actually going to use Boss Dog wood glue. I'm going to use their clear glue for this, and we'll see how it works. Might be the first time somebody's using Boss Dog clear for veneering. Who knows? But yeah, I'm just going to go apply, lay the veneer over the top, tape it down temporarily in place. I'm going to put some parchment paper over and then put my netting, get it in the bag, let it form. So I went ahead and installed the leg vise hardware. All of the instructions of this are on Benchcrafted's website. Honestly, Once you got past mortising all the holes and stuff, it was pretty straightforward to install, but pretty good, pretty good. There's no friction, and then when it cinches up, it's locked down. It's pretty cool. I decided to go with the H&T Gordon tail vise, and I got this from Leslie over at Heartwood Tools. This was just an easy vise to install, and I really liked the look of it. I also really liked the look of the square dog holes and of course the pop-up feature. So I decided to go with square dog holes instead of sticking to the standard circle dog holes. At this point, the top was pretty much done. You see the pop-up tray there, which you're gonna watch me make in a second, but everything was all put together and ready to go with the top for the most part. I went through a similar process veneering this piece than I have the rest, so I didn't film or record that at all. But I did route some channels on the side and then made some corresponding pieces that get glued into the Roubo-bench itself. So when you use this push to open hardware, it ramps up and lifts above the surface of the table. The dog holes are super straightforward, so I also didn't really record that, but it's just square stock with rounded edges and the hole drilled in the center for the push to open hardware. Alright, so I missed a few steps probably recording. I'm trying to get this bench usable for the main woodworking event that we're hosting here. May have missed a couple steps, but the moccasin vise and the leg vise all the hardware is attached right now and things are working well enough. The leg vise is super smooth, but currently we're just gonna get some of this crubber and contact cement it to our jaws on our vices. I think we can use our imagination a little bit. It was just these final little touches that I needed to do to make this bench usable, and then we got to our final product. at now? Well, there's a ton of additional details I want to add, like a cabinet down here eventually, and more prominently, a better solution to make it more mobile. I just ran out of time before the woodworking event, but that's okay. It is a completely usable workbench right now with all the features that I need for clamping and things like that. Overall, I'm super happy with how this came out. It's a super great addition to the shop and will make a lot of these projects I have coming up a lot easier. Thank you for making it to the end of the video if you have. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm committing some more time to this channel and producing content for you guys. I have a kid on the way, so we have some pretty interesting projects coming up. So thank you again, and please, if you've watched this far, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications for when the next video drops, and drop a comment down below. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next build.